How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I got a good night's sleep. That's the main thing.
Oh, good. Me too.
Come over from Dublin. Sometimes I have to get an early flight, like 4:30. But today, didn't have to do that.
Good
So.
stuff, man.
Okay.
I know that the beautiful Justin got to meet his man Sean Parker in a nightclub, but I don't think Jesse would have any luck with meeting Mark Zuckerberg. Did you have any joy, or did you even want to meet Eduardo?
I would have loved to have met him, but I had no joy in that regard. I think he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement during the settlement with Mark, so he wouldn't have been able to talk to me anyway. But I think he seems like a very private guy, and his priorities lie elsewhere. And I think that's kind of comes across in the film. His priorities are to be a loyal friend and a good. I imagine Eduardo will be the happiest in his life out of those three guys in the future. I think that might be my own wishful projection, but I feel like he'll be a family man, and he'll make his fortune in a very moral way.
He is in the movie anyway. You get that impression. He's almost like Mark Zuckerberg's Tyler Durden. He is the ideal that Mark would like to be in a way. And here's a guy who co-founds or certainly helps to get Facebook off the ground, and yet he's not so much left behind as pushed back eventually. And I don't know whether for you there was a sense of getting to that place, or I don't know whether you hung out with Pete Best, or you kind of you tap into that feeling of somebody who was betrayed in a big way by a very close friend. Yeah,
of course. I think we've all been betrayed at some point by a close friend or an acquaintance or a family member or a wife or a husband or a girlfriend or a pet. At some point that's a universal thing that everyone goes through, unfortunately, and it's a moment for me, I think, of losing innocence for Eduardo. It feels like this is the first betrayal he's ever gone through, because up until then he's the guy that all the doors are opening for. Like he's moved from Brazil to Miami and then he's got into this Ivy League, this elite, incredible school. He's not only excelling as a businessman already, as a young entrepreneur, but he's also being accepted into these elite social clubs. He's kind of got everything going for him, and it's not until this massive betrayal of his best friend, from his best friend, that reality really becomes stark for him.
I know that Mark Zuckerberg famously said recently that the age of privacy is over, and certainly the internet is brought on a new kind of pressure for people who are in the spotlight, people like yourself. I don't know whether you kind of agree with that, especially now that you're God's representative of Spiderman here on Earth for a while. I don't know whether you feel you've got to brace yourself for what might be intrusions into people wanting to know what you do when you're not acting and you're not carpets and.
I think I don't know. I think I have control over that. That may be naive, but I feel like my focus is on working and being creative and acting and nothing else really. Just being a good person and trying to work on my craft as an actor. And I think whatever you give focus to is and whatever you feed will grow. So if you feed the other periphery aspects, then I think that will grow. And I've only been photographed at an airport once, and it was one of the most intrusive and horrible things. And anyone who is okay with that has a strange set of needs. But for me personally, I'm not worried about it, because it's not something that number one interests me, or that it's something that I can control.
Rock and roll. Nice to talk to you, sir.
Cool, man. Nice to talk to you.
Cheers.